And God blessed that day. Before there was a Sabbath law, before anybody could break a single rule about it, like Jesus, rest is not a reward system. It's the architecture of reality itself. And most of us have spent whole lives building reward systems on top of it, and then forgetting the difference. Covenant is how we belong to one another in this kind of community, a free church. It's not a contract that we earn our way into. It's a relationship that we are already standing inside, whether we've noticed it or not. Sabbath works the same way. We're not outside of rest, waiting to qualify. We're inside it, swimming in it, just like a fish swims inside of the water. But most days we're just too busy swimming to notice that we're wet. If the word God is difficult for you to wrap your mind around this kind of concept, translate it into whatever works for you for the this that holds us all. The pervasive intelligence and love of the universe in our bodies, among us, all around us. This is built into the universe. And the second reading is less cosmic. It's much more direct. There's a hand that's actually reaching to us. Come to me. All you who are weary and carrying heavy burdens. Not come once you've earned a break. Come, you who are tired. That's the whole qualification. Weariness is the credential. So we've heard the Babylonian mythology and how that story of empire is told. Tiamat's corpse, a rebel's blood, all of it for one purpose, forced labor, so the gods can rest. No war here in Genesis. No slave class. God rests first, alone, before we exist to inherit the pattern. We're not enslaved into anything that literal in 2026, are we? Or are we? Are we? But the logic, I believe, survives closer than we think. Maybe it's that job that used you up, that's using you up, using up your body and calling it normal. Maybe it's someone you love who's watching their medical benefits be taken away right when their body needs it the most. Maybe you have your own story of this slave class to serve the gods, the workers. Same old logic, just better dressed. Some are made to be used up so that others can rest easy. Jesus doesn't say, come once everything's stable. He says, come now. He doesn't say, I'll take the yoke off. He offers a different yoke, one built for the actual shape of us, not the shape some system needs us to be. That's the difference between a yoke that wears you to the bone and one you can actually wear. In March 2025, we had our visioning retreat, and we asked ourselves out loud and together what we believe this community is called to be. And there were 4 different themes, but the individual theme that bumped up as the highest among those 4, within one of those 4, was welcome, rest, sanctuary, renewal. Speaks to what's really deep within us. And we didn't choose that outside of the context of our faith. We didn't choose that alone. We chose it inspired by the way of Jesus. The Jesus who stood with Howard Thurman and what he called the rest for the people with their backs against the wall, the rest for the refugees, the unhoused. Not the version of Christianity that so often ends up in the news. You know that version, the one that learned to serve Caesar instead of challenging him. My professor, James Cone, had a better name for the real one, for the God we serve, the God of the oppressed. Prophetic inclusion. Radical invitation and welcome. And stewardship that doesn't treat creation and fellow human beings the way that Babylon treated Tiamat. Something to carve up and build on top of. It's who we're seeking to become, who we're following. It's God still speaking. And God hasn't run out of things to say. Last weekend in worship, we meditated on the power of fallow soil, the rich, fertile soil. The way a field does its best when on the surface it doesn't look like it's doing anything. It's not wasted time. It's where the seed of faith, the seed of new life, gestates. A calling doesn't disappear just because it's resting. In fact, it's part of its still becoming, part of it staying alive. And I believe in this wider world, we all need the same comfort, especially younger people, people of all kinds of ethnic diversity. So many people who are unchurched need this kind of welcome, not another institution pushing them to earn their place. Being sanctuary isn't a side project of this faith community. We're called to be sanctuary. There's a hymn I love, Lord, prepare me to be a sanctuary. It's not about the building, it's about becoming sanctuary. Each one of us and together. And so on the 7th day, God didn't abandon the world. The world was complete, and God rested with it. Not erasure of what was hard, but the holiness of finally stopping. So friends, you have been faithful to this place and to each other longer than most institutions deserve. Come, not because you're finished proving anything, but because you're tired. That's enough of a reason. This is the sanctuary we are called to, and all are welcome. Lay that heavy burden down. Let it be Sabbath. Let it go. let it be. Amen. And I have a brief paraphrased poem I'd like to read before we sing the sermon response. It's a poem written by Sapphire Rose. I don't know if any of you. So, and it's called What the Tree Knows. The tree does not decide in autumn to let the leaf go. It simply stops holding on. The leaf was never gripped, only held for a season by something that knew when the work was done. We are not so different. What we carry, we often believe we must clutch, white-knuckled, until our hands ache. We've forgotten they were ever meant to be open. But the seventh day does not ask us to clutch. It asks us simply to stop holding on to what was already finished. So whatever you're carrying today, that was never yours to carry alone, let your hands remember what the tree already knows. Not a grip, a season. So open your hands now if you're able, hold them open, and let us listen to our hymn of release.